All right, my friends. So, as we got into that last breakdown, the huge force up we started with, we talked a little bit about the last YouTube video as well, where we would come down 50% range of that retracement and we would look for those pullbacks and algorithm tags. So, we had this giant dude right here, right? And we had that GP on the huge wick of the force up day, and we did come into that yesterday on that pullback. So we talked a lot about using your high-low range wherever it happened to go, and then we always put that daily gold in. So we said we'd have an opportunity to come down as long as it swept those highs, come down, and there you go. Not only was the algo GP there, the daily high-low was also there. So we got that one correct, which was fun. We didn't get any further confirmations above on trend. It just had another snap, and it just had a really grindy chop yesterday. Nothing too impressive. So we've seen a little interesting, leg up pop there into yesterday's highs, very close to, didn't quite make it past anywhere that we needed it to do, right? And if we bring that volatility index over, it's a little suspect that we're leaving a lot of stuff to that upside leading into that CPI. This feels like a very algo controlled system, right? So we talked about two different things with the 5-minute 100 EMA that we just would not give up. We've seen the 100 EMA not tag anything on 1020. So we said 1021, no matter what, we should get a 100 EMA tag. There it is on VIX. We talked about it the exact same way on the market. That was for the open yesterday. So again, what we did is every time it got real extended from the 100, returned, extended from the 100, returned, extended from the 100, returned, and we said we would open right into that 100 no matter what, and we did. Luckily, we had a nice drop after. So with that out of the way, the 100 EMA out of the way, we came into today with a couple different algos that we could play right here, right?
Order filled.
And one of those is this Qs that we had seen, right? So we got a breakdown here, and we came off the 666 1 minute, pushed up, obviously found some equal high resistance, got a fresh low, right? And then we came into this area on the 1 minute, we actually had a very interesting triple no tag GP, almost a quad, associated with a doji. Now, this algo is a little different than other ones. So if you zoom into that 1 minute chart, you're going to notice our standard watch where we like to see the golden pockets start stacking up together, at least 3 in a row. But this one ended with a doji. And that is very interesting to have a perfect doji right on that 100 fib, because that's going to be a standard magnet for us. So if you look at that cycle here that we were talking about in the Discord, where over under high low from here launched to the 2618, came back up, could not hit the 100, right? So what do we know about that? That's a extreme weakness attempt here. So it should be able to return to here, right? There is no reason why it can't return, because we had extreme fear off the 2618 shy of yesterday's close and the 100% fib that we drew out here at 25,265.53. Now, with that being said, we said watch that 3618 or slip a lows, buy that, and then we have an opportunity to go up, right? Because we have 25,200 right there coming up, but we held that 3618, and with perfect fashion, we did return to that 100 fib we always talk about right here. Boom, right? So that held up well, and the pivot stayed true. So anything above that 1618, we're still looking to at least knock out that GP up there if it holds the 1618. Obviously, if you didn't buy into the 3618, 2618, and then of course we got some blip there right into 7 o'clock and made it to that target, you're buying a little high right now, but it's still there for an opportunity of a trade. So when we do see NQ produce these interesting values, we do got to pay attention to those. On the ES side of things here, we had a opportunity to see that wave chop and then a couple different GPs, but there was nothing too much on the 1 minute for me. Obviously on that return, if you go to the 5 minute, both NQ and ES had a really good 5 minute that had smacked everything with no GP tag. And that was this guy right here we posted. We posted it on SPY because SPY had a better no tag GP system. This is one we had on ES, right? So again, you see that higher probability of 1618 to the 100, continues 2618 back to GP. And then on the SPY, we'll get into here, had more of an opportunity for that relief because of the GPs that were stacked up. So let's back this up here. Should already be on there. There it is. All right, so we had 4, which was a quad, right, in a row algos that we had on this one. So go to that 5-minute chart, and again, ES doesn't display this. You should always be using the ETF once those are open after 3 a.m. anyway, for a much better outlook on algo reads. So we have that 1, 2, 3, and then that large 4. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to grab the obvious candle here, the 5-minute, because it hits the 100 EMA and the 200 SMA. And then it is followed up by the no tag GPs. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I do grab the 4th one. That is the largest range candle, pointed it to the downside, posted in the Discord, and back up, right? Why did that happen? Well, high, low, and the 5 with moving average tags went to the 1618. Down to the scam shy, as we suggested, laughed at it in Discord, back to the 100, hit resistance, and filled that sweep low, again, scamming everybody at the perfect 2618 tag just to retrace for the algos to come down to magnet again. And then back to the GP, and we took out those no tag GPs. So what's next for the rest of the range of the day? Well, we have a couple different things to watch here. We have an algo back here of the 1515, and we're still watching that, as we said on the YouTube, right? So we had an opportunity to see interesting doji body made yesterday with the 423. So if you see these green fibs right here, we'll clean this up a little bit. You'll note that those are from the triple clustered 15 that we had mentioned in the last video as well on the force up day, right? Because it left 1, 2, 3 15s in a row, and then we high load that, changed to green. And then we looked for the opportunity of back testing, and we went through all that for yesterday. And it just ended up consolidating and holding the 423 and 3618 channels up here, right? Especially after it hit the golden Fibonacci. So if we kill off those, we come over and we only have a couple things left to deal with here on the opportunity of a over-under. Because now yesterday's high, yesterday's lows, which will always be the golden gold pocket for me, is literally associated with the doji of yesterday. In the dash yellow line, you see yesterday's open. In the white dash line, you see yesterday's closed. This is the doji, right? So that doji right there insinuates that we have a perfect overlap with the 15-minute 423 doji body from yesterday's daily chart and the golden pocket from yesterday's high to low, giving us a very large zone right here, and yet another 15-minute no tag GP. So if we see this thing, do what it needs to do here at the open, which is drop, if the VIX holds our magical $18, that is what we're going to look for over under. So we have just a massive over under because we've had some big wavy chops this morning, and we just haven't had anything really come to fruition that's super minty, right? It's just not perfect. So just lots of big waves, back and forth on trend dominant, really just trying to take it out. And I think right now we'll come up for the last few GPs on that NQ, get that triple 1 minute. So a breakout up towards 272 on NQ should be pretty simple. And then as we kind of move into the opening morning, we have to watch the over-unders, okay? And we don't have a whole lot as far as data or anything else to go off of, but we are still anticipating, let's go to here, that Trump watch candle. So we did cover in the last couple of videos here. We got that all-time high gold level put out right there. And we had the over-under going to 672.14, which is the open of the daily Trump dump candle. So if we hold above that doji body, start to press up, we will start attacking a fresh high sweep upwards of 675.23, 674.51, as we discussed again in the last video. One little hint of a volume imbalance we do have. If you go to that NQ chart, you go to your minute, you're going to notice a volume imbalance way up at one of the prior tops here. There she is. Here. So if we start to get that momentum, let's go to the daily chart. And of course, QQQ and NQ is a little off, but remember, if that decides to be the magnet, we're rocket shipping 25,364.73. And of course, we would take out that all-time high for the sweep because generally speaking, right here, we're just at the Trump dump open on the NQ. Now, a little different than Qs, and I will be using Qs, but just to be mindful of some of these levels. So you break into this intraday level here. Notice that open. Let's get this out of the way since we already know it's going up. If we get that breakaway here now over yesterday's close, that fat body, and start moving up higher, that's when we're going to attack that all-time high potential, right? So both of those things are going to be being watched very close. And of course, the weekly has left a GP and a very interesting Over under off that 10, kind of shied it away right at that over under. So again, permitting a weekly to fill all the way back up and hopefully break over that 25,400 level, sweep that, and then we can just reassess. So I think the magnets to the upside are still fancy, even though we got some really ugly chop. All you had to do is kind of look left here and see where kind of that support came in from the huge force up, right? And when algos control us, it's, kind of hard. So what I want to do, as we discussed, is that doji body of yesterday. I'm going to be very, we're not on cues. I'm going to be very adamant on watching the doji. So this doji right here, especially for Qs and SPY, it's not going to be any different. If we happen to pop back up into there and over that and head for the sweep, great. If not, we're going to see maybe a rejection there, and we might just get a really ugly day. We don't have a whole lot of algo plans. We do have some fair value gaps here. You could chase back down a little bit to that upside. There's a larger 5-minute up there that we had came back and back tested already. We're kind of looking for that same thing right here. So you notice that large action left down to the 666 moving average, back up, pushed into said fair value gap, lower low, now pushing up to said fair value gap, which is going to be a test body of that live doji. So again, just lean to that long side right now until the case scenario presents itself with the volatility index. If the volatility index case scenario comes in and holds $18 as a whole and starts to kind of retrace, go get some of the gaps and little GPs that I had left, great. If not, please keep in mind that this is not some kind of easy up all day, because this clustered magnificent wash with 8 different gaps up there into the 20s will be attacked by VIX, most likely on a big fear event. And if we get that CPI Friday and everything else kind of maybe falls apart with earnings after that, we could get the catalyst. So we'll be watching for those two things very close, and we do need to watch the over under at the doji being the main key. We don't have any more algo magnets after the GPs, so that's that.